And now, right to your hosts of Down the Garden Path, Joanne Shaw and Matthew Dressing.
Welcome to Down the Garden Path, where we discuss down-to-earth tips and advice while doing our best to help you seasonally manage your garden and landscape. Hello there, I'm Joanne Shaw, owner of Down to Earth Landscape Design, and with me is my co-host Matthew Dressing.
Good evening, Joanne. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Matthew Dressing, owner of Natural Affinity Garden Design. As landscape designers and gardeners, we believe it's important and possible to have great gardens, which are sustainable and low maintenance, and we want to help you make it happen.
That's right. And it is November, and we are continuing with Author Month here on Down the Garden Path. But tonight's a little different because we are the authors, right, Matt? We are going to do an inside look at our book, Down the Garden Path, a step-by-step guide to your Ontario garden. So if you haven't seen the book yet, we hope that you enjoy the show and listen in and any questions you may have about it. We're going to start off talking a little bit about November in the garden, which is one of the chapters in the book. So Matt.
I can't believe it's already November. Where has the time gone?
November's almost over.
It's basically over. I was telling my students we have 3 weeks left of class. I can't believe it's where we had such a nice, long, extended fall with that beautiful weather. And then the other week it just flipped on a dime and it's minus 12 up here in the GTA. So November is definitely coming in hard and strong for winter. I don't know about everybody else, but I was planting bulbs and finishing up at clients' houses, and the turnover is quick. We were enjoying our annuals quite a bit longer than normal. So yeah, had a great fall.
Yeah. It was nice to have a longer than usual one, right?
Yes, it was.
So yeah, and I still think it's coming back. Like I think this is a little blip, and then we'll be back to maybe not fall next week, but we won't be so crazy.
Yes, cold. It is supposed to warm up a little bit more too.
Yeah. And today I think is the wind. Yeah, today was the wind.
Yeah, and you can always feel it too when you've got really cold weather and then you're about to have that warmer weather. That wind comes in and pushes it out of the way, and then the wind comes in and brings in the cool weather again. So it's a great way to kind of look or to know what's coming.
That's right. And I'm excited tonight that we're jumping in and hijacking our own author month. So for any new listeners that may be there or other listeners who may not just know that much about our book, it's named after the podcast in a way. It's called Down the Garden Path, a step-by-step guide to your Ontario garden. And by step-by-step, we really talk about like almost month by month too, right? So it's month by month and then step-by-step. So there is, I know, we left like the later months till the end when we were writing the book, right? Because we were in early spring, right, finishing up and stuff. But November's still a key month, don't you think?
Oh yeah, and I think this month really proved it. There's so much you can still be doing, finishing touches, putting things to bed. Looking at November, I mean, we again, like you said, we're step by step, month by month through it, and then we jump into each month looking at the specific tasks. And November starts off with seed starting and bulbs. And last week, I was out planting bulbs, so I still had that chance to plant bulbs. Remember, if it is cooling off and it hasn't frozen yet, you can still plant bulbs. I've done it in January. It was still mild right up until the first week of January. Planted them, they came up beautifully. So still, you've got lots of time to get out there, collect any seeds you haven't yet, get some bulbs in the ground. There's lots of activities all through November that still can be done. And like I think if you look at the book, October and November is a little similar, but I think much like we talked about in April and May in the book, right? It's is it an early winter, or is it a
Right.
early spring or a late
Hmm.
spring? So there
Yeah.
is some bridge there, but
Yeah.
there's still so many things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the weather, so because it's not cut and dry to the months, right? We try as
No.
best we can, but weather, I think weather is a factor that really determines what you do, in which of those 2 months or 4 months, like when you think of, like you said, April and May and even March and April, right? And
Oh
I think
yeah.
that we explain that a lot in the book. And even though it is your Ontario garden, I think that's what also lets us, so anybody who's not in Ontario, that's still zone 5B, right? 5B.
Yeah, 5B, 6A, depending on where we are, for sure.
Yeah, but I feel like you can easily adjust based on, so you don't have to be Ontario, everybody. That's what I'm trying to say. The book, these are just basic things that you can do each month, and then you can adjust it according to the weather, and that adjusts it according to your zone, right? So if you warm up a little earlier, and many months, many years, we warm up earlier than normal, and other months, like this, for instance, November, we ended up getting cooler much later into the month. So yeah, so I think that's the thing about gardening. I think that's one of everybody's biggest challenges is that it's not cut and dry, you
Yeah.
know. And I think that's what we really wanted to help our listeners and our fellow gardeners with, and that's what you, our listeners, really showed us with those 2 years of doing, month in the garden. You really came to the table, didn't they, Matt? And said, oh no, okay, what is it okay to do this now? And when can I do that? Or when's the last time I can do that? They really wanted that guidance. You really wanted that guidance as our listeners as to what to do exactly when. And that's really, a big part of why we did the book, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think your questions as well, like you said, really showed us like what timing you were thinking of doing things and not doing things. And you really kind of showed us, and even just if you're a longtime listener, you know that we ask certain questions over a period of time. So,
Mhm.
like you said, it's not as cut and dry as that. It reminds me. It was you were talking. It reminded me as you were talking about weather. One of my favorite sayings. I forget where I heard it, but um, when it comes to weather, whether it'll be this, whether it'll be that. Eh, who really knows, right? 'Cause,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
And it also makes me think that it doesn't. I think sometimes people panic because of the marketing, because of the industry marketing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I talk about, like, my family of boys loves watching the Masters and golf in early April, and we're inundated with all the lawn stuff that you need to do. Like the advertisers are all there, beginning of April, do this, do that, and it's like not necessarily, right? Like not
Yeah.
necessarily do you need to be doing that in April. And same with bulbs. Like the fall bulbs have been out in what, late August?
Late August, easily. Yeah.
Easily late August. And so I've even seen it on social media, people saying, "Oh my God, I forgot, I found some bags. I forgot. Can I still plant them?" Absolutely. It's November. So I feel like the industry, I guess the machine of the industry, of retail. I think it's just a retail machine. We all deal with that, right? Halloween
Mhm.
candy comes out in August. You know what I mean? As much as the bulbs came out in August, so did the Halloween candy, right? So I feel like we need to. We're helping you. This book, I think, will really help you separate yourself from that, and know, okay, and these are the signs. Like I think we explain, until the ground freezes. So yes, you can plant the fall bulbs in the fall, spring bulbs in the fall, sorry. But what fall is, is until the ground freezes. And really lately, that's climate change. That's been December, like you said, January.
Yeah.
And I've same thing working when I worked at the garden center. We would get to any perennials that still hadn't sold or still hadn't been thrown out in December, right? We could take them home on their way to the garbage or recycling and plant them in our gardens, and that kind of thing. Back in the day, when I don't know if they still let you do that, Matt, but back in my day when I first started, we got to take things, and you could still, like, I still have some perennials that I would have gotten in December, that were dead in a pot, and I planted an empty pot, and away we go. So So yeah, so we would love if there's any, I don't know if there's anybody listening has written us any questions, Matt, but we're excited about our book and we know it will help you succeed and be a great tool for you or the gardener in your life.
Yes, exactly. We do have a couple of questioners who have written in or comments. We've got Janice has written in, "Hey Joanne and Matthew, hello from Buffalo, New York. Love your show." Janice has attached a picture of
Oh,
a what looks like a
Buffalo.
young gentleman shoveling at least
Oh,
4.5 feet of snow. So Janice, is that a family member? Like,
oh,
I know you guys have
Janice.
been hit by snow, and the hit is
Mhm.
being nice by snow. So we hope you are safe and well over in Buffalo with a lot
I'm
of
guessing
snow.
Janice can't plant any bulbs, Matt. I'm thinking Janice, you're done. But I
Well,
mean, I still
yeah,
kind of feel like, in 2 weeks that'll be all melted. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
but it'll be interesting to see, yeah, because Janice, if that's a live picture of a family member shoveling,
Hmm.
we have just a dusting. And as I was saying, we were planting bulbs. I pushed away like maybe a centimeter, 2 centimeters of some snow in some shadier spots, and the ground was still unfrozen. But I think you're locked in there. Maybe too late.
Yes, and my parents are in Niagara region, so they didn't get this much, but they did get more than we got. They got about 18 inches or so. So
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah.
Lisa's also written in, "Hello, Joanne and Matt. I have not purchased your book yet." I love the keyword there, yet, Lisa. But is it available in a digital download form? Thank you. No, we have not released it yet as an ebook. We've actually released it as just a physical book. You can find it on Amazon.com and or .ca. Check out our websites as well, www.joanne. Or sorry, yeah, www dot down the number two earth.ca. Where am I today? And www.naturalaffinity.ca. But we could arrange, if you wanted some signed copies as a Christmas gift, as it is right around the corner,
Mhm.
we'd be happy to arrange that with you too. But thank you for giving us your feedback on the digital copy. It's something that we've talked about and discussed,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we still haven't pulled that, planted that
Yeah,
one.
I think we felt like it's got, places for notes.
That's what I was
And
going to say next.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
we felt like we really started out thinking that it could be an ebook, but we really, once we got to Lisa, once we got to going with it, we really felt like it was something that you wanted to dog ear and you wanted to fold and you wanted to write your notes in the at the end of each section, that kind of thing. So yeah, so still love your feedback if that's still something that you do with ebooks somehow. But in e-readers, and I mean, I love my e-reader, don't get me wrong, but yeah, once we had our hands on this and kind of decided on some of the things, right? um
Yeah. We just felt overall it's just a better in person
yeah.
engagement with the book. And I mean, I'm looking at the first copy that I've gotten. I made it my personal one. I've got at least 2 dozen sticky notes, post-it notes all the way through the book just to show it off and make notes. And there's just so much information that we tried to put in there. So yes, we will consider an e-copy continuously, and we
Yes.
will let you guys know when and if we do that. Janice has just written back in, "Hi, Joanne and Matt. This is my oldest son shoveling. Love you,
Mhm.
folks." Oh, well, I hope it looks like he's doing a good job. There's a
Yeah.
pile of snow. So yes, thank you for letting us know, Janice, and sharing that picture with you. Carl's also just written in, uh, "Hello down the garden path. So, Matt, is it okay to plant bulbs anytime we can dig, even in February? Thank you." Yeah, and so Carl, a while ago, it was probably at least 18 years ago, maybe more, that I ended up doing planting some of those bulbs. Yeah, basically, as long as you can get those bulbs in the ground to the better depth that you can. Remember, you want to go about 2 to 3 inches, or sorry, 2 to 3 times the depth of the bulb, and always follow the package for the best depth and spacing on the bulb. But as long as you can get in there and they get that vernalization period, so it's that cooling period in which they finish off all those biochemical reactions. They need that cold to do it. and then they will grow. And one of the things if you wonder if you get enough cold by doing it, if you plant hyacinth, so this is that big fluffy head of trumpet-shaped flowers that is known for its beautiful, beautiful smell. The hyacinths, when your area doesn't get enough cold for a bulb, the hyacinths won't grow their stalk. So what they'll do is they'll poke out some leaves that are really close to the ground, and then they'll just have a little bump of the flower. So it doesn't like completely extend. They'll grow out anywhere from 8 to 10 inches and stay up. But these ones, when they don't vernalize enough, they almost stay right to the ground. And you can tell that they didn't get enough cold or they weren't in the ground long enough for your space. So yeah, usually they will still give you something even in February. Thank you for the question. Irene has also written in, hello to Joanne and Matthew. How hard was it to write a book? I'm thinking of doing a book on sports. Oh, Irene, you've got Joanne's attention already. But I'm not sure if I have it in me. Is it hard? And if so, why? Thank you. Wonderful question. I don't know if we've...
I know. How do we answer that, though?
Yeah. Go ahead, read it.
It was hard, don't you think? Like it was, I think it was harder than I thought.
I was just saying, I don't know if I would use the word hard.
No, it's true.
Versus maybe, but I understand what we're coming from, but maybe challenging. There were definitely challenges to it because Joanne and I, we base it off of our month in the garden series and on the podcast. Right. And we kind of started to build those more as I joined the show a number of years ago. But you had already had your Down to Earth newsletter where monthly you can still subscribe. So head over to www.down2earth.ca. Joanne does a wonderful job at putting together some timely tips monthly for her website and newsletter subscribers, as well as posting in some of the monthly podcast episodes. So great little monthly recap. But yeah, she had been doing that. And then I came to the show and had built us some notes for that, kind of expanding, unbeknownst not having read Joanne's newsletter yet, or knowing that she had really done it, because it was kind of at the beginning of our collaboration. So I had started to create those notes for us. So we combined those two together. So I guess one of the bigger challenges, Irene, was just kind of gathering everything in one place and going through what she had and I had, and where we talked about the same things or different things, and where we were repeating, and how much more information did we need to elaborate on it. Because as you know, gardening can be very introductory, very recreational, hobbyist kind of thing, or it can get, again, very sciencey and very technical, where we're testing and there's all the information about every single plant and how they react in the soil and the sun and all of this. So I think the challenge there was tempering our information. And Joanne and I think we would both agree that as we came out, and we published it only this May 16th, May in 2022, but we found that there were still sections that we could continuously deep dive in.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my gosh, we've got, like, that's a whole other book.
Yeah,
we need
got
to pull
stop,
back there. So we tried to keep it as precise and timely,
as possible. And I think we needed to, there were times where we really needed to learn how to elaborate, like, and I think that's huge where your glossary came in, right? And our wonderful editor, Janet, helped us because we know what we know, right? We know it.
Yeah.
So when we would throw around terms and use them in the instructions, we knew what we were talking about, but that didn't mean that you might know, right? And so so she really helped us realize, like, okay, can you explain that? Or what do you mean by that? Or what does that, and from that, I think the glossary I think you guys should buy the book just for the glossary, because the terms Matt was so thorough in working out the glossary and all the different terminology of garden terms. Really, really helpful, right? Like, how did you, like, didn't you end up with like over 90 terms or something?
It got to the point, and like you said, we just talk about it, and it's so natural after doing it for so long. I had ended up having to stop the glossary and
Mm.
stopped adding things. And what I didn't add, I didn't throw into the book. But like there were just so many things again that we could have talked about because there's so much
Yeah.
garden jargon. So
Uh,
yeah, so there's as step by step as it is when we do say things in there or some interesting words. Yeah, there's some information you can pop to the back. And even being an instructor at college, I find myself still doing that. The students just haven't come across a term yet. It's
mhm.
like, oh yeah, I know that. It's so second nature. Oops.
Yeah, well, even like I just flipped it open and it like overwinter. Like you and I, like that's easy. We know what to overwinter. Like we know what overwinter means. But honest to goodness, like what it, if I asked like my household of people, or you know what I mean? Like they ever to be like, I don't know what overwinter means. So yeah. So I think that was another part of challenge. Like we really had to dig deeper. And so Irene, I definitely recommend getting an editor or getting help, because that once you have outlines and data and stuff, and that really helps, because you often need, I think, having that third, even because you and I, like, it was a bit like quite a bit of divide and conquer. It had to be, right, or else we
Mhm.
would still be writing, you know. And so yeah, so I think having somebody who looked at the whole thing, and someone who, and she is a gardener, so she knew some things and stuff. So she really brought a lot to it, I think, to help us guide us along. And then it came the photos, right, Matt?
That was also, yeah, Irene, challenging as well as far as photos, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Do we have the right photo? Does it express what our words say?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we're putting it together, when it's finalizing through winter, because we released it in May, oh, do we have a June photo of this? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, we can't take that because that's not blooming and that's not out yet. So there
Mm-hmm.
was a challenge in finding some photos and strategically picking the photos
Yeah.
for that part of the book. And you and I, we were lucky enough, being gardeners and landscapers, or landscape designers, we are always taking photos of cool
Yeah.
plants and designs and arrangements and bizarre things that we just come across. So that was also a good challenge as well. But again, there are resources out there,
Mm-hmm.
um, for sure, that you can use, and you can credit people in the photos, and
Yeah.
there are vast databases as well. I mean, Shutterstock and stuff like that, where you can buy
Mhm.
them. So Irene, I
Yeah.
mean, long story short, I would definitely encourage you to do the book for sure. You
Yes.
definitely have it in you. It's challenging, but honestly, it's so rewarding after Joanne and I had put all of this time and energy into it. And then again, we self published through Amazon. When we actually physically had the book in our hand and our
Yeah.
name was sitting on like, I, the moment is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think every author hits it, and I think everybody does with different things in their life. But just to have, like, that's my book. What, I wrote a book? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And to touch it and to feel it, it's very cool, for sure. So yes, so go for it, Irene. Go for it.
Definitely go for it. And if you have questions, or you want to share your experience or your frustrations as you go, we're here. You can always write. Everybody can write us down the garden path podcast at hotmail.com during the week, and we do get your emails and things as well. So thank you
Hmm.
everybody who has written there.
Yes. Yeah.
We do try to respond as quickly as we can amongst our busy schedules. So thank you very much for sharing your pictures and your jokes.
Yeah.
We are enjoying them for sure.
So yeah, to go back to November, like I think I just want to give a shout out for one of the key things I think for November, and that's really for anybody who's just installed a new garden or planted a new Japanese maple this past season,
Mm-hmm.
or even last season, right? It's usually the first 2 years. So I do feel like the one of our biggest, we give a lot of information what to do with annuals, perennials, and your lawn and all that stuff. But I do think investing in taking the time to protect your Japanese maple for winter. And it's not too late. I know you may have snow on the ground and it may seem cold, but I'm sure that you can still find the kits available, or picking up some 4 wooden stakes and a long sheet of burlap. But we recommend you kind of creating because also I always say wait till the leaves on the Japanese maple fall. Well, on 2 of mine, it got cold so fast they hadn't fallen yet.
Yes, yes. When it gets that quick, there was that one year we got that ice storm a few years ago, and they all turned that weird pink color and stayed the whole season. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's okay if the leaves didn't come off. Just outside of the drip line, like outside of the branches, place your 4 stakes, hammer them into the ground, and wrap the stakes with burlap, and use some zip ties or some staples. It's okay. You want the top open, so we're not stopping snow, we're not stopping rain, right, Matt? We want all of that. It's really just a wind protection. They're much more sensitive to our winter winds and drying winds. So until they really get established, which is usually the first 2 years, we do want to protect them that way, and that will guarantee your success rate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Japanese maples have such a thinner bark. They're just very easily damaged, and they're naturally an understory tree as well. And we like to plant them outside of their natural protection, so they really benefit from it for sure.
Yeah. So that's my biggest thing for, I think we give lots of great advice. Watering, although right now I don't know that we need to water but we haven't had a ton of rain though, really. Like here, I know Buffalo, who's Janice, I know you're not going to have to water anything because all that snow is going to melt. Did we get much rain while I was away?
We didn't really know. When you were away, we had a day or so. There was a good day here that it did just kind of rain. And when I was planting the bulbs, my client's irrigation system had been off for a while. So there was still some moisture in the ground.
Good.
But we have had lots of winds. And believe it or not, as we warm up this week, I'm thinking like Thursday, it's going to be 7 or 8 again and warm. I may actually have to go out and do some watering on a few little evergreens. They're just kind of on the windier side. I want to hit them again with some wilt-proof and then just give them a slow water because I know the ground isn't frozen there. And that'll definitely help them. And again, just a newly planted garden, they haven't had the roots to spread out and take up all that water that's passed by them. So we want to make sure that they can drink as long as they can before they freeze.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. The other feature I want to point out in our book, because we are landscape designers, so as much as this was a tool to help you each month know what to do, what not to do, and I think I want to highlight that too, as lots of times we're telling you not to do something, right? But one of the fun, I know I worked on this part. Well, we both did because we each had to pick our favorites, but we did design favorites at the end of each month as well. So as designers, landscape designers, we wanted that little bit of design and that little bit of experience, right? Like it was fun to do a design favorite, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really fun because there are just so many things every single month. And if you go back and listen to the November in the Garden or May in the Garden from our past episodes, which by the way are available on all your favorite podcast providers, we talk about the stars in the garden. And there's just so many neat and cool and unusual and low maintenance and beautiful plants to choose. But it was really fun kind of narrowing down like our favorite one of the month to really kind of shine or spotlight that cool, unusual one for sure.
And it was hard, right? Just to pick one. Oh my gosh.
It was hard.
Because we only had room, we had to limit it. So we each got to pick one of our favorites. So I think that's one of my favorite it's kind of double entendre there. It's like favorite. It's my favorite. My favorite. But I do, because I hope it does remind everyone that we are landscape designers. In addition to being gardeners and obviously podcast hosts, we do this, and Matt, an educator with students. We spend a lot of time with homeowners, residential space, helping people with their gardens. And even I'll sometimes just look back through old pictures and things like that, like of all the jobs I've done and their designs, and it just warms my heart. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how that's doing, and oh, I wonder what that looks like, right?
Right. I gotta just drive by there.
I know. I do a lot of driving. If I'm in the neighborhood or if I'm nearby, I do that a lot.
I do too.
I know. It's so. we come at it from, I think a variety of different ways, really. The success, like our own application, our own education. I went to school to get my landscape design certificate. Matt went to school forever and has he has lots of alphabet at the end of his name. You have lots of alphabet at the end of your name. Come on.
Just 4 letters.
4 letters. Okay. Well,
not
4
a doctor, but
no. Yeah. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah.
But yes, we've both gone to school for it. We've both gardened in our family gardens, in our own gardens, and then for our clients and designing our clients and working with contractors and installing. So I feel like we had like a real rounded, I don't know, things to share, right?
Yeah, we've got a well-rounded approach, kind of touching or tapping into a little bit of everything, from a number of different perspectives, from ourselves, our clients, our contractors, and the people we work with, for sure.
And I mean, again, we learned a lot from our listeners here too, right? We can't
most certainly. Oh yes, they're definitely.
Like the question that Karen's just asking us now is, can she rake her leaves now? I've already seen living Christmas trees for sale. Yes, shocking. I know, Karen. So, well, the thing is with the wind. So I know my husband did a good raking, but he also did chopped up a lot of the leaves to put back in my garden. But they keep blowing to the front door, so my front steps are still covered in leaves. So your feedback and your questions have definitely helped shape the book. So that's why you need to buy it, so you can see your question made it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and Karen, yes, you can still rake your leaves now if you like to. But I recommend leaving them down.
Yeah, or if you're going to rake them into the garden, right?
Yes, or just relocate them.
Relocate them. That's right. Yeah, we do, especially like off of walkways and off of the sewer grates and driveways and things like that. We want them off where they're not going to be slippery and icy and gross, but we do want to relocate them into the garden as much as possible. So, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in with our mid-show station ID.
Oh, right.
Everyone for joining us here live on Reality Radio 101. Thank you as well if you're listening to the downloaded podcast, whether you're at home or on the way to work. We appreciate you as well. I'm Matthew Dressing here with my co-host Joanne Shaw, and you're listening to Down the Garden Path. Joanne and I enjoy hosting Down the Garden Path each week, bringing you interesting and relevant topics to help you achieve a great garden. We learn right along with you from our research and from the guests that join us here on the show. Spend more time with us down the garden path. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Our handle there is at Down the Garden Path Podcast. You can also find us on your favorite podcast provider. And while you're there, please hit that subscribe button to be notified of new content. And please don't forget to like, share, and leave us a comment. We love hearing from you, like all the wonderful listeners who are writing in this evening. Don't forget, you can always write us Down the Garden Path Podcast at hotmail.com. And don't forget to check out our websites. You can find Joanne at www.down2earth.ca and myself at www.naturalaffinity.ca. So I think we have another
Shane
question. Yes, Shane.
Yeah, Shane. Yes, Shane's been a long time listener. I'm sure one of your questions must have made it in, Shane. So thank you.
Shane writes in, "Hi, Joanne and Matt. I think that to be book authors is an amazing feat. Very brave and creative. Love your show. Love your advice. And I'm proud to know you from the radio. It is hard work. I know that writing essays for my college papers was very stressful, to say the least. And I cannot really imagine what you went through. Again, congratulations, Shane." Thank you so much, Shane. Thank you for taking the time to write us in. We're glad that you listen and you've written in and joined us here on the show. That means a lot to us. So November has packed full of information, but it doesn't just stop there. So again, lots and lots of information, especially coming up. We've also got our winter section. So there's
Mhm.
not as much to do out in the garden, obviously, depending on where you are. And we're here based in the greater Toronto area, east of the GTA. But we do cover December, January, and February. So there are still some things that you can do in the winter months. And so we went through, we again, kind of the process of deciding about the book. One of those rabbit holes that we could definitely go down, it was house plants and
Mhm.
what to do inside. We really just kind of touch on some of the activities to fill your time with gardening inside. As you know, it's Authors Month here on Down the Garden Path, and we've had a number of Authors Months before, and there's some really great books that we recommend on houseplants and indoor gardening things to do for winter. But we did have to throw in some of the things that you do want to make sure that you're doing, making sure that you're taking care of your amaryllis, your holiday plants, and some tips and tricks around to keep your garden active. Because even though it's winter and we're not out there, there is still lots of life and wild animal life that is happening out there. So definitely
Mhm.
take a look there. We definitely cover some great activities and some thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, the amaryllis, like now if you'd stored some, right? If
Yeah,
you'd stored some from last winter or from last year, then you could now's the time, right? To get them potted up and hoping in the next 6 weeks they will bloom for Christmas.
yeah, you want right about, yeah, just we're just almost kind of passing the time to kind of time them for that Christmas Day flower. But yeah, right now, if you've got them stored or they're dormant or leafless, just the bulb, we can bring them up and pot them up and plant them. And definitely take a look outside, or sorry, outside in your garden centers or wherever you like to purchase your plant material from for your amaryllis bulbs. Definitely keepable from year to year. They make a great shade to partial shade plant here up in the GTA, and they'll basically just fatten up and get ready to go. And there are lots of cool and interesting different colors to have. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think they are a little, as for a bulb, they tend to be a little bit pricey, but I think now that people have caught on that it is fairly straightforward to save them from year to year,
yeah.
or even you might not get 10, but if you can get a couple years out of one bulb, it's kind of a little bit more worth it, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've easily gotten 4 or 5 years out of a bulb, and a couple of years I had actually just forgotten about it. Put it in a pot, meant to pot it up, didn't. It still leafed and bloomed,
Mm,
and then I potted it up another year later and regrew it and fattened it up for sure.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so that's one of the things we talk about for January. So yeah, or for December. So yeah, so we do. I mean, you can start it. I guess we could have said that in November, but we did. I know that winter we took us a little while to figure out how we wanted to approach that. But we did want 12 months of the year. We wanted to cover 12 months of the year, and there is quite a bit in January and February, right? Garden related, not you're not necessarily outside yet, but there is a lot of planning and all of our seed starters and vegetable
Yeah.
gardeners and flower gardeners. So really we struggled kind of with the 4 weeks of December and a little bit of January, because then after that you really can, with grow lights nowadays, you can really hit the ground running with a lot of things. So yeah, so it is 12 months. So we do cover every month in our categories. And just to review our categories for the most part, right? We do seeds and bulbs, annuals and perennials,
Mm. Long
lawn
hair.
care, which is a popular topic on the show, deciduous trees and shrubs, and evergreen trees and shrubs, and then our design favorites at the end of the month. So pretty much every month, kind of has those categories. So if you don't grow annuals or perennials and you just need help with your shrubs and your lawn, then the book is still for you, right, Matt? Like we've definitely made it for everybody.
Yeah, if you were just looking for a resource on something like your lawn or trees and shrubs, no annuals or house plants, they're still packed full of information. We've made sure to cover a little bit of everybody for sure, most certainly, because we all garden in different ways, and that's one of the fun things about being a landscape designer and having worked in the retail industries, everybody again has their own perspective, likes and dislikes. There's no right or wrong way. I mean, there's some wrong things or wrong ways, obviously, but there's no like one path, I guess is the way to say, to
Mm.
garden. There's so many ways to do it, and it just changes forever. So it always grows. One of the things I like about our garden, in our Down the Garden Path, our book, is our prompts to do some garden journaling.
Mm.
And especially in January, as things start to lose their leaves and the depth of winter comes, don't forget to get out and exercise. Still do some walking around. Now is a great time to go out and look at your garden, walk your neighborhood, look at other gardens that you know that you like, and take a look at the winter interest, right? Winter is
Mhm.
still a season that we often neglect when we design gardens, or when we look at the whole garden picture as through the seasons, or as we build or design or plan a new garden. Don't forget there's so many branches and berries and textures and forms that can still add a great depth and visual interest to our
Mhm.
winter garden. Silhouettes, colored branches, all sorts of things. So definitely get that camera. We've all got one on our phone, and take a
Yeah.
walk and take a look. And you'll be great to, or you'll appreciate being able to go back and go, oh, wait, what did I see that one time? Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think people need to remember that winter, I mean, seasonal interest is big, right? As a designer, that's what people
Mm-hmm.
want. They want their garden to look good. And but I think the forgotten season in there tends to sometimes be winter.
Winter.
And we're winter the longest, like it kind of is barren, even though we've had like the fall type weather, things were still leaves have gone, and so kind of by mid-November right through till it's a longer season. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think and that's where it also comes back to what to cut back and when to cut them things back. And really, we're both on the whole team, like there's no reason to cut back. And I know, especially with the little bit of snowfall we had a couple days ago or last week, I've seen some pictures on social media where people showed, their full garden in bloom and then what it looked like covered in snow, but they'd cut every single thing back. And so, and I'm not picking on anybody, but they're very proud of those pictures. But I was so sad because I looked out and I see the snow on my hydrangeas and the
Oh,
snow on my ornamental grasses and the way the ornamental grasses you know
they sway in the winter
this
winds, still
right
give you
right how they've
movement.
all gone kind of rusty and kind of swaying with the dark brown of the echinacea heads, and I'm just like, that is beautiful even with the snow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so winter, so I think that is a good idea, like when you're walking around, and things that you don't like, that's okay too, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't want that tree. I don't This is why you don't plant a Japanese maple that close to the front door, because then you have to duck under it, right? I think there's lots of other lessons that you might note. And I think the thing about the winter is, in the summer, your spring and summer and fall, you're kind of, the color and the flowers are your
Yes.
focus, right? And you're ignoring the structural things like the trees and the evergreens but I think winter kind of makes you have to look at those other bigger design elements and kind of look at the garden differently, don't you think?
Agreed. Yeah, we get so caught up in it's finally we could go outside and everything is colorful and warm and vibrant again. Yeah, so it kind of almost color blinds us to what's happening in the other pieces at the other time of month, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'm hoping this hasn't been like an hour long infomercial, but we really, like, I really want, I think, we do have a really good little caption on Amazon, but I think hearing from us and understanding what we've done in our book and why we did it, I think it's really important. So I'm happy that we've had this opportunity. It is our show to talk about it.
It
Uh,
is. So act now, and you can get no. Um, yes. So enjoy. We hope that you guys enjoy it as well. And yeah, there's so much more. Again, in April, May, June, we cover spring and we cover summer. Talk about when things to wake up, when to plant things, the timing of different things as well. And again, it's not just an Ontario garden book, right? When we talk about May and final frost dates, when you're up in Winnipeg, that's a little different than when you're down in Toronto versus down in, Philadelphia or, North Carolina or something like that. And you just kind of tilt it. So, what are some of your other favorite parts of the book?
I think the drawings too. We have some really great drawings as well as the photos. We had some illustrations done to kind of teach you a few things, right?
Mm.
When it came to pruning, when it came to the mulch, our good old mulch volcano and stuff. What about you? What are your
Yeah, good, because it was April Lee who did
yeah.
our images. So shout out to her. Yeah, great in kind of describing how to, or visualizing, help us visualize those terms like the drip line. What is that, and
Mm-hmm.
what does that look like, and where is that for sure? Um, there's just so much, really. I think I like what I like as well is it's very colorful as well.
Mm-hmm.
I like we've dotted with quotes and summaries for each of the months, and we've got some beautiful watercolor illustrations. So we keep it visually interesting. It's not just one big long
Yeah.
boring read or a list of things to do, but we cover so many different
Yeah.
things. It's
We do deep
really hard.
dives too. Don't you think that's another feature I forgot to mention? Our deep
Yeah.
dives.
Oh, and I was just as you were saying that, I was passing through Cedars and Clematis, because they are two big questions I think we've always gotten as
Mm-hmm.
received as landscape designers, or even in our retail days, right? Clematis, which one blooms when, and how do I know which to prune it back, and
When do
when
I
do I
cut it
prune it
back? Yeah.
back?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then we always see all of these different cedars out there. So you did a great job at, what's the white cedar, the black cedar, how do we plant them, how do we care for them, and things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think we've really gone into, like you said, some deep dives
Yeah,
on
yeah. I think the
deep
biggest
topics.
topics, the other one was what you had worked on was the lawn care. Because again, we people, whether you're starting a lawn from spreading grass seed or laying sod, and fertilizing, all of that, you did a great job of explaining and laying out for people as far as the difference between, a synthetic lawn fertilizer versus an organic fertilizer. There's lots to go into it, and I know, I mean, you love them or hate them, we have to still figure out lawns, right? They're kind of still controversial to a certain degree. But I think your pro organic and more sustainable way to go, is a good approach, and I think one of those things that again is a common question.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. So yeah, definitely take a look. We really hope that you will take a look at our book and consider it. Again, Christmas is right around the
Oh my
corner.
gosh. I know.
I can't even believe it. Eric has also just written in. I really enjoyed your show tonight. Don't forget that it's Thanksgiving in the U.S. this coming
Oh,
Thursday, November 24th. Yes. So happy Thanksgiving to all of our American listeners,
that's
our
right.
neighbors across the border.
Mhm.
We hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you, Eric, for the reminder. We hope you guys
Mhm.
are surrounded by friends and family. And you know what? We are thankful for you for tuning in. We know we have people listening as far north as Alaska, as far south as Florida and California. So we appreciate you
Mhm.
guys as well. So happy Thanksgiving, south of the border.
Yeah, so they definitely don't want to talk about Christmas, right? Because
No,
they want to talk about Thanksgiving. So yes, we
Thanksgiving.
definitely Thanksgiving, for sure. So and I'm sure many are starting to travel or travel shortly this week, right? To
Yeah, the university kids coming home,
yeah, yeah.
coming home to family, and yes, what a great time.
I
Thanksgiving
know.
is such a nice time. Eric has also showed us, or shared with us, a beautiful picture of his fall arrangement of some beautiful, looks like some cut yarrows and a peely mum and a sunflower, all in
Yeah,
a nice ceramic pumpkin container, which is beautiful. And you
excellent.
could make that out of a real pumpkin too. That would be
Yeah,
wonderful too. So
yeah.
beautiful. Thank you, Eric, for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
So
That's
yes,
good.
definitely take a look. Amazon.ca or .com, depending on where you are, down the garden path, and you will see our beautiful, bright purple and green book with a beautiful landscape on it. We think it's reasonably reasonably priced for sure, with the amount of information that you're going to get out of it, and it makes again a wonderful Thanksgiving or Christmas gift for those who are new gardeners.
Hostess gifts, right?
Hostess
Hostess
gifts.
gifts.
That's what I
Yeah.
try to think of for
Yeah,
Thanksgiving. What
yeah.
is
No,
that?
yeah. I mean,
Hostess.
regardless, a holiday hostess gift, I think a book is a great thing.
Yeah,
For sure, for sure. So something that'll get used, something more useful.
that's right.
So yeah, so that's good.
Even if you're not a homeowner and maybe
Mhm.
you are a contractor or someone else out in the industry, you know, as my contractor days, I didn't really get to do things in the garden or you know, play with the gardens on the sites that I visited. But I was always curious about what was going on and why we were doing things at certain times as I grew through the industry. So it also makes a great piece, you know, if you're a contractor and, you know, maybe you're not maintaining the yard after you've installed the hardscaping and the gardening, but, you know, your homeowners or DIYers. It makes a great gift or add on for your clients. If you're maybe a member of one of those landscape or construction crews, and you are just interested on what you are doing and why you're doing it, and doing certain things in people's yards and driving around and doing your working your magic, it definitely gives you some inside tips again on just what to do and what not to do during those seasons for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and even if you are a landscaper, then I also think it's if you've got those special clients that you want to, thank them.
Yeah.
I think that makes a nice little gift that way too. So I know I'm gifting it to a few of my clients. So
Yep.
yeah.
Same.
Mhm,
A
mhm.
wonderful book.
Yeah, so I think we covered it all, haven't we? But we still have more time. I
That's
want to know
right.
what all those I'm feeling bad that I have like zero sticky notes and you have all those sticky notes on your book. But are you teaching from the book?
I have mentioned a few things from it. I haven't made them that it's a recommended or a mandatory resource. They actually have some other classes on, you know, small engine maintenance equipment, how to use
Mm.
them, how you're going to maintain things in the garden. So they have other hort
Hmm.
classes that will dive more into that
Yeah.
for sure. So
Oh, good.
yeah, yeah.
Good. Um,
Oh, go ahead.
no, well, and I think just to chat for a few minutes as we wind down. You did you not give a presentation at a local garden club recently, or do you have that still coming up?
Oh, I did, yes. Putting our gardens to bed. We spoke to the Ajax Garden Club, and then we also spoke to a teachers association as well.
Oh.
So bringing in some tender plant material and protecting the tender plant material and overwintering things, and then what to do and not to do to put the garden to sleep
Oh,
for
great.
the winter. So those were great talks. Very appreciative for being able to spend some time with those wonderful people and those clubs. Indeed.
Oh, great. Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. That is good. Yeah, and anything else? Your class is going well?
Yeah. School is humming along for sure.
Great.
Can't believe it's already over. The students are excited and just just
Yeah.
sponges. They're just literal sponges. They have
Oh,
questions
good.
about absolutely. They remind me of our listeners. There are so many things. One of the students, it's really fun. He's an international student from Ghana, Africa, and
Oh.
there it stays about 23 to 24 degrees Celsius always. So this past Tuesday, when we got that good overnight dump of snow, it was his first uh,
Oh,
experience with
snowfall.
snow
Uh-huh.
and this cold weather. So that was enjoyable as well.
Oh, that's
Just,
good. Hopefully he's doing okay.
yes, yes, he is.
That's good. So as we wind down, we are going to continue Author Month next week, right? Our last week of the
Mhm.
month. We're very excited.
That's right. Continuing with our garden month, we have Ashley Thomas, the Mocha Gardener, with her new book, How to Become a Gardener, finding empowerment in creating your own food security.
Mhm.
So it is, again, we're so lucky to have access and be able to chat with all these wonderful authors. Ashley does a wonderful job at putting together great projects, and again, how to grow and start your own food and build that security,
Mhm.
that food security in your own home or whatever space that you do
That's
have
right.
year
Yeah.
round, which is a huge topic, especially in the face of a lettuce shortage. Like it's
Yeah. It's
lettuce,
always
how like we take granted, like it's
yeah.
lettuce, right? And
Yes.
now there is none. So,
Yes. Yes, and she's coming to us from North Carolina, so I'm looking forward to
mhm.
that too. To because their season's longer, obviously, than ours. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting to know Ashley a little bit better. We do have copies of the book in our hands, and it's beautiful. So yeah, so I think I'm looking forward to that, to talking to her next week. So yeah. I
Yeah.
I I think I'm really happy, and hope everybody who has purchased a book. If you have, also just a shout out to ask one of those asks for favors. A Christmas gift to us would be a review. So if you have purchased our book, or if you're going to purchase our book, please, Amazon really looks highly at those reviews, and so that would really help us a lot. If you could leave us a review there on Amazon. We would love that, right?
Yes. That is a
So
huge help.
I know,
So,
I know. So, and I'm almost over this thing, and trying not to cough on the show, but it's good to be back. And yeah. Um,
I think that
and there's our hook.
brings us to the end.
There we go, Gary. Well, thank you everybody for joining us down the garden path.
That's right. And stay tuned next week as we're joined again as we wrap up our Authors Month with Ashley Thomas on how to become a gardener and her new book. Don't forget to check out all the past podcasts on your favorite provider. And we look forward to speaking with you all next week here down the garden path on Reality Radio 101. Take care.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to Down the Garden Path with your hosts, Joanne Shaw and Matthew Dressing, right here on Reality Radio 101.